Welcome to another SkaredCast battle report. We're here, not in the basement this time, but up in the dining room area. And I thought I would start with how to set up a 6th edition game. We have rolled for mission, which was the Scouring, which there'll be 6 objectives, each with a secret value that will be flipped before the game starts. Playing pitched battle, and the way we set up terrain is you roll a d3 for each 2x2 section. So we rolled a total of 11 pieces of terrain, and they have to be substantial pieces of terrain, not like little fiddly rocks or lampposts. And now Nathan and I, Nathan, say hi. What's up? Him and his Marines are going to try and place terrain in a position that'll help him, whereas me and my Dark Eldar will place terrain in a position that helps me. So we'll be alternating, but we don't know where the objectives are going to go till after the terrain is placed. We've set up the terrain, and as you can see, there's sometimes going to be like sparsity, and sometimes there's going to be like very awesome things, and you can tell that there's a big killing zone here. Now we'll go through army lists. So, Nate, what do you have here?
Attack squad, plasma cannon, flamethrower, sergeant's got a combi flamer and a melt of bombs. Librarian, Terminator armor, librarian, Terminator armor, epistolary storm shield, twin heavy flamer dreadnought, he's rocking in the pod. Stern guard, 2 heavy flamers, sergeant has a power fist, everybody else got combi meltas in a pod. 5 terminators, 3 lightning claws, 2 hammers. Last tactical squad, power fist, combi melta, heavy bolter, melta gun.
Okay. For your powers, you went for the discipline of telepathy on your lowly librarian, the small one, and he rolled invisibility and psychic shriek. And biomancy on your epistolary, so you got hemorrhage and endurance. So this is my Dark Eldar army. It's almost exactly the same as my 5th edition army. If you've read the blog, I talk about why I've chosen to do an army that's very similar to my 5th edition army to reduce the learning curve that's 6th edition. For one, I have a little unit of 5 witches with haywire grenades in a venom instead of my 5-man warrior unit with a blaster. They are definitely a lot more of a threat to tanks. The Razor Wing as a flyer. 6 Reaver jet bikes in 1 unit instead of 2 or 3 to reduce kill points in the this mission actually, in which fast attack choices score. Now that regrouping is a lot better for non-marine armies, having bigger units isn't that big of a deal, considering I also have high initiative, which means most of the time I can get away from combats. Instead of the 2nd witch squad in a raider, I have a 10-man warrior squad in a raider with night shields and a splinter rack, and they have a blaster and a splinter cannon, and they're there to add some more firepower to the army because yes, 6th edition, firepower is more important. And I have decreased the number of witches in this unit to 8, and 2 agonizers have dropped in favor of power weapons to make it cheaper. So I have night shields instead of flicker fields because of the new Jinx special rule. The Scourge now are amazing against tanks, so I've kept them in the list. And of course the 10-man foot troop, that now can decide to just not have the heavy weapon move at all. I quickly painted up 6 objectives, so we have a 4, 2 3s, 2 2s and a 1, which we'll be putting face down and then before deployment. It is not night fight turn 1. So we'll have to roll again turn 5 to see if it is night fight for the end game. I have to keep the Razor Wing in reserve, which by the way the only upgrade it has is a splinter cannon, and it has 2 disintegrator cannons. The jet bikes, I want them to come in later in the game, and the Scourge are deep striking to cause some havoc later in the game. I put in 2 Venoms, one with witches, one with incubi, a 10-man squad with good firing views for the Lancers, / 2 levels up, therefore relatively safe from Dreadnought and Stern Guard with lots of heavy flamers. As well, I have my Ravager, Warrior unit full of warriors, and the Witch unit. And he's in reserve, got Terminators and a Librarian. The small Librarian's going with the Stern Guard, Dreadnought in a pod, so Stern Guard in a pod, those guys in a pod, and he decided to teleport them. So, yeah, and because of the I'm reserving everything anymore, drop pods and stuff that come in turn 1, like drop pods and demons and all this stuff, are actually really good now. Now, he's gonna, if he wants to steal the initiative, he's gonna try and get the jump on my army.
No.
And sadly, he does not. I shuffled. With pre-measuring, I was able to get some good lines of fire. Here, as you can see, I tried to snipe out that Librarian, and he only failed one of his saves, which then he bounced off to one of the guys in the unit with Lookout Sir roll. I shot a lot at this unit. These guys were just out of range because he finished off the last guy in range, because that's a very finesse unit, the Warriors and a Raider. And then because I depleted that unit and did some damage to that unit with this Venom over here, I actually flatted out my Raider that hadn't shot over here to then put more pressure on that objective. So I really like the fact that I can choose to flat out like after the shooting phase or during the shooting phase. It really makes the fact that even my turn, in the turn with Dark Eldar, you can actually flow in and out of different avenues, which I think is fantastic. Of course, these guys, the Cabalite Warriors, reshuffled a little bit. And I forgot to tell our traits. The trait for my Warlord went for for strategic traits, and I get to re-roll my reserve rolls. That guy decided to roll as well on strategic, and he actually exacts a -1 reserve to all my reserve rolls. It kind of pairs up in the narrative. He's got 2 drop pods to bring in, and when we're back we will find out which ones he dropped and where. He had the Stern Guard drop down. This unit with Psychic Shriek, 2 Heavy Flamers and Ignore Cover Bolters killed everybody they could see in this unit. There were 2 guys on this parapet that couldn't be seen, that survived, but then they fled. The Lance and the Blaster, they're running for their lives. So now, because they're 2 out of 10, they can only rally on a Snake Eyes. And then these guys tried to bolter that Venom, but did nothing. And they moved up and ran 6, so they're moving up. And then the other tactical squad dropped down. Meltgun tried to shoot that, and I passed my save and he missed and all that stuff, so that thing's fine. And then Meltgun in there blew up that and killed 4 of the occupants. The plasma cannon, that's actually relentless, so you feel no pain. He's under the blessing of that guy. So he relentless and blew them, and it scattered and he survived. I need 4s for them to come in. So on a 4+, the Flyer does not come in. I'm actually going to re-roll it because I can, because my Archon is strategic, and he does not come on. Then I'm going to do my Jet Bikes. They do not come on, and so I'm deciding not to because my other thing didn't show up, and my Scourge. They do show up. I killed one over here with this Venom. Tried to take out the character, but he looked out, so rolled enough and took out lots of saves. Then this Venom here, and then this Cavalite Warrior squad kind of conga lined up, seeing through that window right there to see him, to snipe him out again. He's actually 1 wound down, and he lost 2 more of his squad to Lookout Sir rolls. And that's the Warlord, so I have to try kill him for an extra point. The Witches, I moved this up here to take a hull point off of that. This Ravager fired into the lone plasma cannoner, and he failed his cover save, so he got taken out. And then they combo charged. I did a disorderly charge against the drop pod to try and knock it out, because the drop pods actually have locator beacons. So I needed to take it out so that he wouldn't drop around this area. And then charged in. The explosion killed 4 Witches. And in this combat here, the challenge, nothing happened. And I didn't kill any Marines. And then the Incubi and the Archon went into the squad without a character, so that my Archon wouldn't get challenged out. And wiped out the squad for a pain token. And then, of course, these Witches got out here to throw a Haywire Grenade into that drop pod and successfully took a hull point off it. We didn't show this, but this is the 4 right here. That's a 3 over there. That's a 1, so that one's not really important. There's a 3 here in this crater, and a 2 here. Terminators.
That's a 1.
It's a 1. They do not show up.
Pod! They're joining the party.
The 1 lone scoring guy wants to hide over here because that is a very good objective. And then the rest of the units move forward. This kind of spread out so that he could join them. He Psychic Screamed at my Incubi and his Archon, but they got a 10, so no wounds taken. And then here over here, this Witch unit was fighting the tactical squad. The 2 Witches got 2 wounds, 2 failed saves, so the 2 guys that were there died. And then my 1 Power Weapon Witch got that one wound in on the sergeant, therefore winning the combat, pain token, and they were able to consolidate. So that was fun. That was my first little challenge combat. And then this Dreadnought came in here and sneezed 2 flamers at that unit, at the Cabalite warriors, and burned them all to a crisp. Now what's interesting for you Marine players, this has a locator beacon. Therefore, this drop pod can be placed within 6 inches of this drop pod, and then you get a 6-inch disembark move, which makes drop pods tactically amazing. So the Razorwing on 4+, it shows up. And the jet bikes on a 4+ does not. And I'm actually going to try and reroll that with my Warlord trait, and they do show up. My Razorwing came in and unloaded 2 missiles and disintegrators into that unit, but it had feel no pain, so 1 guy survived. This Venom fired into here, killed a few guys. This Venom did the sniping character thing again onto that Librarian, killed 2 guys and put a wound on him. So that was pretty good. And then these jet bikes, they moved up 12 because they can, and then they turbo boosted 36 inches because they're Eldar jet bikes over the poor lone guy that was trying to hide, and got a pain token, killing his last scoring unit. I shot it and knocked out a one of the heavy weapon. Now that knocking out weapons is random, it was the weapon with the claw. And then charged in. First I declared charge with the Feel No Pain Witches so that they could get Feel No Pain against the Flamers. The 1 Flamer lost 1, and then the other Witch unit came in, and the Haywire Grenades took it out. All Dark Eldar players out there, Haywire Grenade Witches are dirty against tanks. So the Terminators, they do! The Psychic Scream just saw 5 Witches die. Yeah, that was it. Just 5 dead. And that Stormbolter killed my Sergeant because he was closest. The Stern Guard tried to move up here, missed with the melt gun, charged, then didn't do anything with the crack grenade. And the Terminators deep struck here and spread out, wanting to avoid the path of the Razorwing. The Venom moved 6, get out 6, and then they were going to charge. The unit was here, but they fell back over there, which then meant that I needed a 10 to get in through terrain, and even with my fleet, I rolled like a 4, which was horrible. And so these Terminators are going to come around and maybe party with me all day. The jet bikes, they scooted, blew up that drop pod, and then scooted into the building. This Razorwing did a turn and moved up here. The Witch that was in there jumped in and scooted over that way. The Terminators charged into here and only killed 1 Incubi because he couldn't hit me, and the Phantasm grenade launcher on my Archon made me have defensive grenades, which was great. Psychic Buddy Squad blasted the heck out of my jet bikes, killing a lot with Hemorrhage, which is the 6 power of basically toughness test to take wounds, and I failed a lot of them. My Witch hid behind a wall, so she can't be seen. My tank's blockaded, so he can't move up to contest. This moved up uselessly, because the movement's really interesting. It's actually quite restrictive. That moved up. I was able to kill 1 Psyker, and this Psyker ran away, but is going to regroup, because Space Marine regroup is awesome still. And they rallied, and moved up over here. And then in here we have a challenge going on. The Archon is facing off against the squad leader of the Terminators. They killed off the Incubi, but he's holding still. Slapfest with the Archon, and the character continue. Wasn't in range to like do anything major against them. Couldn't really go back to reliably see that Witch, and so he just charged the Venom, trying to deny this 4-point objective. And then we rolled, and it was the end. So that is it. Turn 5, and that was the end. So thank you so much. That was a great game. So thanks a lot for watching. Of course, you can go to my blog and podcast at scarred.podbean.com. Follow me on Twitter at Skari2. You can also check out the 40k Nation website at www.40knation.com. So, from the Eternal Warriors chapter of the 40k Nation in Barrie, Ontario, I bid you good day. And as always, we try to bring you quality battle reports on fully painted tables and terrain and models for your enjoyment, tactical expertise, and general learning experience. Cheers, Skari out.